Today's a lot warmer. I think the temperature's around -7 point something. That sure beats yesterday's ride at -12. So I got a little pet peeve. I was having a discussion on Facebook yesterday with some people, and it was in response to a video that someone had posted and taken quite some time to put together. But it was what you would call a real dishonest edit and compilation in this video, because they took dialogue, you know, the start of a sentence, and then they'd piece it together with another part of a sentence in order to make it seem like the person was saying something that completely they were not. And I thought, you know, that's pretty bad. And it was to protest the oil pipeline. Now, I have no problem with protest. I think protest is a necessary thing, but what I don't like is, one, skewed information like that, and two, protest without solution. Because not in all cases, but in the majority of cases, what I'm seeing is people protesting something without thinking about, well, okay, I don't like that, so what would be the alternative? And with the pipeline in particular, or any oil transportation, there's an issue, there's a problem, and there's lots of double standards going on with the protests. I think we all recognize that we shouldn't be so dependent on oil, and we have to move in that direction. And a lot more could be done to develop alternative energies that don't have just as much carbon footprint, but in a hidden way, like some of the alternative energy for transportation has. You know, in the development of something that you buy that seems really green, but in order to make that, they have a big carbon footprint. So anyway, we need to go a lot further in that. So I recognize less dependence on oil is a good thing, but in the immediate term, we need vast quantities of oil. If you took oil out of the equation, let's say in the United States, as an example, if you could, you can't, but wave a wand and say, okay, no more oil is used for a week. Well, within 5 minutes, cars would shut down. There would be no transport. 95% of factories would close. Businesses would close. People would die of the cold and so forth because they couldn't heat their homes, and, you know, all sorts of catastrophes. So we need oil, but no one wants it running through their backyard, right? And so everyone says stop the pipeline. If you, let's say, stop the pipeline, let's say you did, but you still need oil, and that's the kicker. So what are you going to do? How are you going to get it to market? So what are the options? Okay, the options are ship it down the coast on a tanker, and then, you know, you would get the protest saying, well, you know, the tankers are dangerous because they spill the oil and kill the marine life, pollute the oceans. Okay, so stop the tankers. So then you figure, well, by rail. And I'll cite an example that happened in the recent past in Canada here. I think it was a town called Magnetawan, I'm not sure, but it was in Quebec, and a tanker loaded train of crude derailed, and basically right into town almost, and half the town burned to the ground from the crude exploding and burning. So, and that's happened several times. Crude tankers by rail derailing and polluting sensitive waterways and such. So stop the tankers. What are you going to do? How are you going to get the oil to market that we desperately need? So I guess that's my point. You know, protest without a solution is, well, it's just dumb. I've always used the analogy to myself that, you know, if you want things to work better, let's say take the example of the oil corporations and how they route the pipelines, how they engineer them for safety standards and controls and monitoring and such, and their response to disasters. If you want to improve these things, knowing that you do have to get the oil to market, and so let's say we allow a pipeline, but we're going to make it better, you're not going to do it by creating a big divide, you know, like a moat around the oil company between them and you by protest without solution, because then you stop communication. So I just feel, you know, I use this analogy, I was going to tell you that if a person is walking by you on the street and you wanted to talk with them, maybe you wanted to get them to see your point of view or whatever, it's no good just standing where you are and trying to talk to them as they walk by. What you have to do is you have to walk with them. You have to match their speed, match their gait, you know, and that way then they can hear you. And I think the same goes with protests. You know, you can protest, but now have a solution, and don't close the doors between yourself and the entity you're protesting. You know, bridges are far more enabling than moats and divides, right? The other thing that I really get annoyed by, and you know, I love nature, I really do, and I also meditate and so forth, you know, have done for over 30 years, and so I understand, you know, metaphysical concepts and the value of all of this, but I really get saddened when I see, and I saw a lot of this on this discussion yesterday, where people would say, oh, well, you know, we just have to embrace Mother Earth in meditation, and then this will actually solve the problem. No action, just meditate. Well, meditation would be great, you know, it'd clear your thought processes and allow you to see things more clearly, but it's certainly not, especially in the immediate sense, going to influence an oil company, right? So that's another thing. You know, people get lost in kind of airy-fairy solutions, and also the very last thing is that people tend to promote conspiracy theories in these subjects a lot, you know, saying, one person said to me, well, the solution is already there, John, but the government and the big oil companies don't want us to find out about it, but they know how to get around all this and totally eliminate our dependence on oil, and they just won't tell us about it. I mean, come on. Well, anyway, there we go. I'm done. That's my bitch for today. So, I'm going to do a little bit of shopping, and I'll see you fine folks on another ride. You have a great day.